why opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar must distance the UNC from Philip Edward Alexander, an editorial by Professor Wall Street. As the political landscape in Trinidad and Tobago shapes up for the 2025 general election, the opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar faces a critical decision that could make or break the fortunes of the United National Congress, UNC. One of the most pressing issues she must address is the relationship or potential coalition with the Progressive Empowerment Party, PEP, and its controversial leader, Philip Edward Alexander. While coalitions can often strengthen political movements by pooling resources and voter bases, the baggage that Alexander brings to the table could have disastrous repercussions for the UNC. His pattern of divisive statements, inflammatory rhetoric, and personal attacks against public figures poses a significant risk to the UNC's credibility and electability. The problematic legacy of Philip Edward Alexander. Alexander's penchant for controversy is well documented. His derogatory comments about public figures, such as journalist Cajun Haynes and Camille Robinson Regis, reflect a troubling lack of decorum and respect. For instance, his use of the B word to describe a senior government minister and his recent inflammatory remarks about Trinidad and Tobago's business community, often referred to as the worst 1%, are more than just political missteps. They are deeply polarizing. These actions not only alienate potential voters, but also threaten to erode the UNC standing among moderate and swing voters who value professionalism and respect in their political leaders. A coalition with Alexander could inadvertently signal to the electorate that the UNC condones or is indifferent to such behavior, a perception that could be weaponized by the ruling People's National Movement PNM during the campaign. The risks to the UNC's electoral chances. Persad-Bissessar must recognize that the 2025 election will hinge on winning the trust of a diverse electorate, including those disenchanted with the PNM, but wary of any alternatives that seem unstable or divisive. Aligning with Alexander risks alienating key demographics. 1. Professional and middle-class voters. Many in the professional and middle class, including the business sector, will likely recoil at Alexander's repeated critiques of the 1%, fearing an anti-business agenda. 2. Young and progressive voters. The younger, more socially conscious electorate might view Alexander's personal attacks and incendiary rhetoric as antithetical to the progressive values they support. 3. Traditional UNC supporters. Even within the UNC's base, many voters prioritize unity and respect. They could see a coalition with Alexander as a betrayal of the party's values. A call for decisive leadership. Leadership is about making tough but necessary decisions, and Persad-Bissessar now has a golden opportunity to demonstrate her ability to rise above short-term expediency for the long-term health of her party. By publicly distancing the UNC from Alexander and his PEP, she would send a strong message that the UNC remains committed to dignity, unity, and inclusivity. Moreover, Persad-Bissessar's move to cut ties with Alexander could serve as a rallying cry for disillusioned voters who crave stable and mature leadership in a time of political uncertainty. It would also allow the UNC to focus on building a coalition of credible partners whose values align with its vision for Trinidad and Tobago's future. The stakes are too high. The 2025 general election presents the UNC with a genuine chance to regain power and implement its vision for the nation. However, this opportunity could be squandered if Persad-Bissessar allows Alexander's divisive rhetoric to overshadow the party's platform. The UNC cannot afford to risk its credibility by aligning itself with someone whose actions and statements have proven to be counterproductive to fostering unity and respect among Trinidadians. For the good of her party and the country, Kamla Persad-Bissessar must make the hard but necessary decision to distance the UNC from Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP. This moment requires clarity, conviction, and an unwavering commitment to the principles of good governance. The electorate will be watching closely, and they will reward those who prioritize unity over division and the nation over narrow political interests.